Chinese Communist Party running ads for Trump on TikTok. It's true. TikTok is running not just an ad, not just any ad, the largest, most consequential ad of all time. Okay? They're doing that. And the way that they are able to do this and the reasons for why they're doing that is because Trump said, we're not banning TikTok, at least for now. Okay? One must look at who's responsible for giving this massive W to Donald Trump. The Democrats handed him the easiest W of all time if he's smart enough to seize it, is what I said. I didn't intend to actually, like, dunk on Tommy Vito or anything like that. This wasn't intentional at all. Yeah, no other will ever care that Trump got paid to flip-flop on it because Congress didn't really explain why it felt necessary to do so. I didn't even see his response, but I don't, this response I don't agree with entirely either. But because, I think Trump is not doing this because he got paid for it or whatever. Trump is doing this because he understands that TikTok is popular. That's it. And it's an easy W for him. He personally thinks TikTok played a role in him winning this election, in him basically getting 34% of the youth vote, as opposed to, in prior elections, never reaching that percentage at all. Okay? He thinks TikTok played a big role in him getting that. And I think the TikTok CEO, and TikTok did a pretty smart move where they literally were like, oh no, we love the Republican Party. Look at Charlie Kirk. He's so popping on TikTok. They literally juiced up one guy from the Trump orbit, and immediately they were like, actually, TikTok is great for us in order to have a stay of execution. Now, do you think that it would get to that point? Do you think that this would have had to have happened if the Democrats were like, of course we're not banning TikTok? What are we, fucking stupid? If they had said, no, we're not doing that, and instead we're actually smart, just like Trump is in this regard, and said, no, we're not banning that. Republicans want to do censorship. Republicans want to take away your First Amendment rights. Republicans want to take away your treats. Republicans want to ban a platform that has 7 million small businesses who love small businesses. If they had done a massive propaganda campaign like that, I'm certain that, one, this ban wouldn't have even been a conversation. It wouldn't even been a point of contention. And if it was ever a point of contention, it would be one that would benefit the Democrats because they could actively bully the Republicans for being fucking annoying losers who are censorious. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that because they were scared. They were scared because the ADL looked at TikTok and said, everyone is doing Hamas propaganda on there. Get to work right now. Okay? They tagged it along with I believe it was a spending bill. It was a must-pass bill that they added this over to. It passed with bipartisan support. Democrats signed off on it. Some Democrats didn't, right? But enough of them signed off for it for a veto-proof majority. Joe Biden voted for it as well and pushed for it. He signed it into law, and here we are. And because it became increasingly the reality that it was going to get banned, and people were like, what are you doing? This is our livelihoods. All of a sudden, in the last second, they were like, just kidding. We actually don't want it banned. Can you imagine a world where you push for something, okay? You push for a piece of legislation. That legislation passes. Your president votes on that legislation. Then it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. You don't have a Supreme Court in that situation, right? The Supreme Court is not even on your side. And yet that conservative Supreme Court unanimously votes to enact the legislation that you pushed. And literally a day after that, right as you are on the way out of your administration, on the last day of your administration, you go, we were just kidding. We were just kidding. We were kidding 36 hours. Let's just leave this to Trump. He can deal with it. I cannot imagine a worse way to fucking legislate. I can't imagine a stupider thing that a party could do. And this isn't like, Hassan, you're a dreamer. You're just dreaming big. You want pie in the sky ideals. Like, you are just ideologically minded on this issue. Like, no, it's just bad politics, man. I'm looking at exactly what the Democrats are doing and telling you that they're doing bad fucking politics. They are playing like they want to lose. It's terrible. It's terrible politics. If anyone else in any other job had this level of performance, this much of a glaringly obvious fuck up, they would be fired. They should be fired. It is crazy. And when the Democrats fuck up, we suffer, okay? Because when they mess up, when they suck, when they're bad at their jobs, then Republicans win, okay? They might not care about that because they're politicians. And as long as they can keep getting their donations, as long as they can keep farming donos off of all of the awful cruelty that the Republican agenda represents, they're fine. As long as they can keep sending their children to the best schools and make them work at these same mega corporations that they end up getting money from to deregulate those specific sectors, they're fine. You are not fine. When Republicans control the government and do awful shit, you're not fine. You suffer. It's ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, dude. It's mind-boggling, okay? And I don't understand. I don't understand how people can't see the glaringly obvious reality here. I don't get it. Yeah, just 33% of all Americans express their favorable view of the Democratic Party, an all-time low in CNN's polling dating back to 1992. 4 years ago, in the immediate aftermath of January 6th, attack on the Capitol, the Democrats' rating stood at 49% and the Republicans at 32%. The party is dead. Murat, do you want food? Is that what you want? Okay, here. The party is so bad. They're such an overt failure. Anyone that defends this kind of ineptitude is ridiculous. You're just defending losers. Like, you're defending losers for losing. You're deluding yourself. So bad that it's like understandable if you think that this is the controlled opposition party where they're like deliberately losing. I can't begin to explain this. And it's actually stuff like this. This is no motion, okay? Just so you understand. This is one, a denial of abject reality, a refusal to understand how anything works. But last but not least, this is what you see on MSNBC at a time when they are failing, okay? Why are you doing MSNBC talking points on fucking Twitter, man? Why are you doing that? Do you have no mind of your own? Are you a goddamn robot? Are you getting paid by the DNC at least? Please, Hutch, tell me you're getting paid. Because if you're doing this for free, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you're doing this for free, you are such a fucking loser. Not only are you wrong, but you're not even professionally wrong. At least Matt Iglesias is professionally wrong, right? He gets paid to be wrong. He gets paid to defend the Democratic Party. He gets paid to push them right. And then he goes, after he gets all of his wishes demonstrated by the Democratic Party, and they fucking lose, understandably, because that's a dog shit way to run a campaign, he still turns around and says, no, they didn't just go right enough. That's the problem. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you, as an outsider, as a fucking COD guy, could turn around and, you know, do this for free. You're doing propaganda, not even for the Democratic Party at this point. You're doing propaganda for like a select few group of analysts within the Democratic Party that are getting all this money to lose. You're doing this for staffers that are giving all of the wrong notes to their politicians. And it does not make any sense. It especially doesn't make sense when you do it for free. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I think for a lot of people, I'm going to be as charitable as I possibly can be and try to analyze or interpret what's going on in front of me here. Okay? I'm going to assume that because we are so cynical at this stage, after multiple decades of Reaganomics, after devastation caused by neoliberalism, we at this point, I think, genuinely consider any kind of, like, some people, not we, as in people here, but I think there are some liberals out there who falsely assume that politics is about being paternalistic and also doing things that the population doesn't want. And the more unpopular this is, the more bitter this pill is to swallow, the more real politics is happening in that situation. And I think a lot of these guys play catch up where they basically look to the Democratic Party and don't actually interpret why this bill is passing or what the reasons are from the Democratic Party. They just simply play catch up and defense after the fact, no matter how bad it is. And the only way that they can do that is by simply stating, you know, you just don't understand. The average person doesn't understand. Populism is inherently bad. Doing things that the majority want is inherently bad. Are there instances where doing things that the majority wants is inherently bad? Sure, there are. Sometimes good governance dictates you do things, especially if you have a grand design, if you have a big plan, right? Infrastructure, let's say. You're going to build a massive web of bullet trains. That's going to be an expansive project. That's going to be an expensive project. You're going to have to do eminent domain throughout that process. Some people are not going to like that. Sometimes a good government is supposed to do those things, okay? At the behest of a larger agenda that is overtly good, okay? That is beneficial for commerce, that is beneficial for improving people's material conditions. This is not one of those instances. Banning TikTok is not one of those. It's not only unpopular, but it's also fucking stupid. It's a bad piece of legislation. It's bad politics and it's bad policy. And Democrats love doing bad politics and pairing it up with bad policy. It does not make any sense. So it doesn't make any sense to defend this sort of thing. I don't understand it. I really, really, really don't understand it, especially because like that kind of commentary that Hutch is engaging in here, playing catch up and like defending Democrats' incompetence once again, and claiming that this is me actually like giving credit to the Republicans and not just like addressing reality, okay? Doing political analysis and addressing the reality that everyone can see too, by the way, okay? But infinitely better writers who have spent multiple decades in these institutions write much craftier pieces, think pieces on the New York Times anyway. So you're not filling a void either. Not only are you wrong, but you're not even good at being wrong, and you're not getting paid to be wrong. So I don't understand. Just give it up. Wake the fuck up. Exercise a little bit of critical thinking and stop just defending the Democratic Party like a bot, dude. I don't understand it. Like, if I want this take, I don't have to get it from No Opinion or Hutchinson. I can get it from any number of different people in the New York Times editorial board that have spent most of their professional careers either working for the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or both of the parties, as a matter of fact. Okay? And they get paid a lot of money to do that. They got paid a lot of money working in these parties, and now they get paid a lot of money to defend the incompetence of said parties by doing PR for them. It doesn't make sense. You're a COD player. You have the opportunity to look at what's going on and not be wrong all the time. You have the independence and the freedom. And with all of that independence, with all of that freedom, you just still choose to churn out Matty Iglesias style propaganda. And you don't even do a good enough job with it. At least Matty Iglesias get paid for it. It makes no sense. It's like the lowest form of human. I swear to God. How is this helpful for anything? Just want to know what your goal is. It only pushes people farther and farther away from listening to us. What? Dude, it drives me crazy. You're so reactive. Can you actually make a plan for us to build a productive coalition with a clear and concise message that actually attracts people to our side, not just attacking everyone all the time? Do you not understand what's going on in the thing that I pulled? I made a correct assessment that the overwhelming majority of people are also aware of. And then a person that is supposed to be on our side, okay, it chose to interpret that in the worst way possible and actually claim a reality that doesn't exist. What do you want me to do? I understand your points. I just think it's helpful to focus on. Okay, well, but you don't know anything. So I don't know why it is a much broader point that I'm making. It's not just Hutch. There are a lot of people that do this, okay? It is the mentality that a lot of people have, which is defend the Democrats unconditionally, even when they're in the wrong, okay? That's it. And it's inappropriate. So that conversation that I'm having here is not just about Hutch, okay? It's about everyone that has that same tendency to immediately rush to defend the Democratic Party, even if they are operating in an incompetent manner. It makes everyone look delusional, okay? That's it. If you do this out in the wild, people will look at you like you're crazy. Anyway, here, as I said, here was my I told you so video.
Told you. I told you. TikTok has 170 million Americans. It's infinitely more popular than Congress. It's more popular than most things in this country. It's more popular than voting. It would be far too difficult for our incompetent Congress to fully successfully ban this application with 7 million small businesses on it. So here we are, the Democratic Party's incompetence once again in full display, giving Donald Trump, the man who wanted to initially ban TikTok, the full credit on a massive billboard with 170 million people, giving him the credit that he is actually now saving TikTok. Coming right on the heels of a ceasefire in Gaza as well, that for 15 months Joe Biden simply could not accomplish. This be a warning though. As America's power diminishes on the global stage, they are going to become more censorious. Free speech never really truly existed. Obviously, look at the Red Scare. Look at what they did to black activists. Look at what they did to, BDS. But now it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Isn't this stunt super illegal and says the President Trump can do things outside the judicial and legislative branches? What do you mean the stunt is super illegal? What's illegal about it? What is illegal about this quote unquote stunt? What's illegal about it?
Told you.
It's a sneaky thirst talk. Anyway, here, I'm blasting it. Go like it. Archive it, repost it. This just proves our laws don't mean shit. It's who's in power and who's willing to use that power. Americans have acute, severe TikTok withdrawal and is showing cold turkey and they're fiending. It's not healthy. China bad. USA. Yeah, I mean, this is a great take as well. Yeah, you Dem loyalists were wrong about the significance of Gaza to Americans, wrong about the political relevance of the TikTok ban, wrong about the validity and intensity of popular hatred of corporations. You don't know anything when it counts. Please exit all civic life forever. It's true. It's true. And I'm already seeing thank you Trump posts from my apolitical friends. I want to die in a video game. If you're angry at that, understand who's responsible for it. Because who gave Trump this opportunity? Who? Who gave Trump this opportunity? The Democrats did. They did. I want a competent, actually anti-fascist Democratic Party. I want a real counterbalance to growing fascism in this country. The Democrats are refusing to do that. Okay? They're refusing to do that. And I keep screaming and I keep kicking and I keep demanding that the Democrats actually do that so that we don't have a ridiculous Republican administration. It's ironic that people will try and claim that I'm an accelerationist, that I want Trump to win or some dumb shit, when it's exactly the opposite. If the Democratic Party listened to any number of different things that I was complaining about, we could have fucking had a much different outcome here in this election cycle. But no, I don't expect them to. I'm just saying that, like, it's completely ridiculous that these guys don't want to learn from their defeats at all. Can you explain the data behind saying that the ban is unpopular? When the ban passed, it has 70% support in polling that was accurate in the election, sadly. Even TikTok users, the ban was 30% yes to the ban. Has there been recent polling trying to counter the people saying it's popular, we should ban it still? Okay, two things that I will tell you on this. One, at no point did it actually reach above 50% approval for banning it, okay? And even then, it doesn't matter because there are 170 million people on the application. How many times do I have to explain to people that in the United States of America, especially, people that claim that they want something, that they think that, like, banning something is going to be good, once facing that reality, will very quickly change their minds. We just went through this with abortion. We just went through this with fucking Roe v. Wade. I don't know how else I can explain it. There were people who were like, I'm voting for the Republican Party, but maybe this abortion ban, not a great idea. They literally went back to their own states and with resounding margins turned around and solidified constitutionally enshrined abortion protections in the same states. Clearly, the people that were like, oh yeah, I'll vote for the abortion ban, I think it's a good idea. Once it was a reality, we're like, oh my God, it wasn't a good idea at all. It was a very bad idea. Let's change this immediately. This is the reality in America all the time. People will say, I want something. And when that thing happens, they go, oh my God, I had no idea how devastating this was going to be. This is part of the benefit for reactionary politics, is that Republicans can get away with a lot of awful things, with an agenda that is just inherently bad, okay? An agenda that is harmful to so many Americans because many of them don't realize the damage until it's far too late, once it's implemented. And a pretty sizable chunk of people never even recognize it. So that's number one. Number two, even on that front, it never actually passed 50%. Okay? Good angle to come at it. People, the public as a whole is very bad at hypothetical situations. The what if questions, they just generally get wrong. Yes. Look at climate change. People can't comprehend something unless it's like tangible, unless it's like A to B. Okay? Especially as a broader population. That's number one. Number two. Okay? Number two. Even then, there wasn't this like mass approval of banning TikTok. Okay? There wasn't. It wasn't like this overwhelming sea of support to ban TikTok. How can you say that when the fucking application is the most popular application? Like, what are we talking about? Like, think, please. I don't care what the Pew Research Center said in terms of like the 50% ban, which got lowered to like 30% by the time it got to an actual implementation. But think about that. Think about that, please. At the end of the day, you can look at the raw number of people that are using the application on a daily basis. Part of the reason why they wanted to ban it was because of its success. Just because people use it doesn't mean they don't want it banned. Dude, that is so dumb. That is so dumb. I use TikTok all the time and I want it banned. The amount of users means nothing. Do you think the overwhelming majority of TikTok daily users in the 170 million actually wanted it banned? So why are people celebrating this then? Why is this a benefit to Donald Trump? If this was truly a fucking popular decision, why is this being treated like an ad for Donald Trump? This should be a major L for Trump. That Trump saved TikTok should actually be a bad thing. But you understand that as a good thing. You understand that as a good thing because you recognize, regardless of what you're saying right now to try to prove a fucking stupid point on your in this moment, you also understand that this was objectively an unpopular decision by the Democratic Party. What you're saying doesn't even make logical sense. If TikTok's ban was a genuinely popular thing, then right now everyone would be dunking on Trump. They'd be like, oh, this fucking idiot. I can't believe he saved TikTok. He should have never done that. We love that TikTok was banned. We want it to be banned. Right? Right? Don't you think? Your argument doesn't make sense. The argument that you're trying to put forth doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Why are the Dems not gloating? Why are they all mad? Why are they all upset that Trump got credit for saving TikTok? If banning TikTok was so popular, you actually don't believe Trump initiated this? What are you talking about? I 100% believe Trump initiated this. What do you mean? Trump, look, here's what I think, okay? Here's what I think. AIPAC gave the final push to get this across the finish line. It was tied to a must-pass bill. It got passed. Joe Biden signed it, celebrated it, thought this was a major W. And then the Supreme Court took it on and gave a unanimous decision to finalize this ban. In that process, there was an election cycle, however. In that election cycle, Donald Trump actually started posting on TikTok. So do the Democrats, as a matter of fact. Weirdly enough, even though it's a major national security problem, it seems like neither party actually had an issue posting on the fucking platform while they were actively trying to ban it, right? The difference is between the two parties, one party was being hypocritical by posting on TikTok, while the other party, on the other hand, was posting on TikTok and getting glazed. Okay? Donald Trump, in that process, realized that TikTok might not be so bad. In his mind, he thought, because Charlie Kirk was, seeing a tremendous amount of success on the platform, and Charlie Kirk directly has access to Donald Trump, and many other right-wing content creators were telling him, TikTok is good, TikTok is good. He decided this was actually beneficial for him because he reads the fucking room. That's it. It's not a superpower. It's literally not a superpower. But for some reason, if you are in DC for a long enough time, just trying to understand what like the overwhelming majority of people enjoy or like becomes this impossible endeavor. It might as well be a superpower to be able to read the room actively. He recognized that people liked him on there. He thought that it played a role in him winning over the youth vote. Okay? He got great margins in the youth vote in comparison to past performance. He said it openly. He said, TikTok played a big role in me winning. The youth love TikTok. They love Trump. I'm going to save it. I'm going to defend it. And that's all it takes. TikTok glazed the Republicans, reposted Charlie Kirk memes. Show is still, the CEO is still reposting Charlie Kirk at Greenland or whatever. Okay. And they're doing that because they don't want the application to be banned. The difference is Mark Zuckerberg was never threatened, and he still chooses to suck Trump off. Elon Musk was never threatened, and he chose to defend Donald Trump and chose to actively use his platform in ways that are far more significant than what TikTok did in terms of beefing up Trump's campaign strategies and using Twitter as a platform that was an endless faucet of right-wing misinformation. They did that for personal gain when they didn't even need to. TikTok, on the other hand, obviously looked at the situation and was like, well, this guy's pretty agreeable if you glaze him a little bit. And that's precisely what happened. They glazed him a little bit, and, they got a stay of execution. That's it. I think a lot of the denial is the result of people's fear of Trump. I mean, I don't understand that. I am fearful of Donald Trump's administration as well. And I'm never going to stop being critical of Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump is good all of a sudden. I'm more angry at the Democratic Party for making Trump look good in this process by giving him the easiest W of all time. Like I said, Trump doesn't have a superpower, okay? He just recognizes when something is popular and he goes, yeah, I don't care about like any number of different legislators. This is popular. They like me over there. They'll like me even more if I save it. I'm going to save it. That's it. I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. The order will also confirm that there will be no liability for any company that helped keep TikTok from going dark before my order. Americans deserve to see our exciting inauguration on Monday, as well as other events and conversations. I would like the United States to have 50% ownership in a position in a joint venture. They already have, I think the Chinese ownership at this point is like 20% from ByteDance. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. Without U.S. approval, there is no TikTok. With our approval, it's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions. Therefore, my initial thought is a joint venture between the current owners and or new owners, whereby the U.S. gets a 50% ownership in a joint venture set up between the U.S. and whichever purchase we so choose. Donald Trump's Truth Social, 10 a.m. EST. It's so cool how right after the SCOTUS ruling, the Speaker of the House just says explicitly that the ban is intended exclusively as censorship and to strip the free rights of its 170 million American users. And that's precisely what this was about. I don't know how people don't see this. No, he's not saying nationalize TikTok. It doesn't matter what he says in terms of like what they want to do. I think that they're probably going to have a very similar structure that currently exists, but they're just going to aesthetically make it seem as though it's different. Like the ownership is different. That's the difference. Because TikTok says they're not going to sell. Why would they? I understand why they wouldn't. What the fuck? Trump called Biden out on this in April when the first bill passed. Yeah, Trump blames Biden for a potential TikTok ban and calls it election interference. In 2020, Trump signed an executive order to ban TikTok from app stores, warning the United States must take aggressive action against the owners of TikTok to protect our national security. Yeah, well, it doesn't. I know Trump proposed a ban on TikTok in 2020. He tried to do an executive order. It was unconstitutional. I know all of this. Why are you telling me this, chat? You think me, the political commentator who literally commentated on this as a professional political commentator in 2020 when it was happening, is oblivious to this reality? I know. It does not matter. Saying Trump initially wanted it banned and he doesn't anymore, it doesn't change the equation even a little bit. Okay? TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chu is expected to attend tonight's Make America Great Again victory rally at Capital One Arena. Yeah, of course. Unless you personally think that like Donald Trump was able to do mind control over the Democratic Party so they would just like push for this stupid ass TikTok ban and sign it into law, thinking that this is like an expert level move from Donald Trump is so silly. It's super basic. It does not have to be that complicated. Politics can be as complicated as you want it to be or as simple as you want it to be. If people want something, and if an application, a treat that 170 million Americans use, okay, is the easiest W of all time. It's an incredibly easy W. It's an easier W than COVID lockdowns, because COVID lockdowns were appropriate. That was an instance where the government was actually operating in a paternalistic fashion at the behest of the citizens. Okay. And even then, it was deeply unpopular because people couldn't go get haircuts. People were losing their minds. Okay. People did not have access to their treats. Don't you understand? That causes societal collapse in America. That's the one thing. That is the American social contract. It does not matter how many brown people need to be eviscerated in the process. As long as I, an American, can get $5 jalapeno poppers, I, as an American, can get my easily accessible, affordable treats, then this entire project is fine, okay? That's the only thing that pacifies the public. That's the only thing people care about. Because when you don't have those treats, all of a sudden, you start recognizing that the potholes are fucked up, the roads are busted, the infrastructure is dog shit, that schooling is worse year over year, your job opportunities suck, you can't pay rent and also afford groceries at the same time simultaneously, you'll never be able to retire. The world is both simultaneously on fire or underwater, sometimes both at the same time. There's endless war. All of a sudden, you're like, everything sucks. And now I don't even have my treats? What the fuck is this all about? That's it. That's the only thing that keeps American society together. So you don't have to be a brilliant person to recognize, like, yeah, if you take this thing away from Americans, they're going to get real pissed off. It's that simple. Also, not only is this just a treat, but there is no valid, unlike the COVID lockdowns, there is no valid reason to try and, restrict Americans' access to this social media application. Okay? That's the other problem here. Because if there was a valid reason, I would at least entertain the idea. If there was a valid reason, if they actually had a real, comprehensive, valid reason to do this, okay, then it makes a little bit more sense. But there is no real valid reason to do it. Oh, I'm sorry. Too much Israel criticism is not going to be enough for me. Oh, people are too excited about Luigi Mangione on there. We got to do something about it. Because that's like one of the real reasons, okay? That they just can't like put their thumb on the scale in terms of like what gets posted on there. And that's a big problem. Wear the MAGA hat, man. Shut up. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I mean, this is a timeless classic, The last decade has been the Democrats clinging on to the rule book going, but a dog can't play basketball while a dog fucking dunks on us over and over again. It's a classic for a reason, because it is exactly what keeps happening. The institutionalism defenders, the institution understanders, the rule abiders, the norms respecters, constantly getting destroyed by the Republican Party and going, but what about the norms? But what about the rules? I don't understand. It's crazy to me that people also act like Israel played no role in this, like the pro-Israel lobby played no role in this, when virtually every politician has at least found it important enough to mention that that was a major reason. So what are they doing? Are they lying? Are they lying when they say they did this for Israel? I guess maybe they're just lying. Gallagher is well liked by Democrats and his GOP colleagues and respected as an expert on the issue. His efforts appeared to stall in 2023, but were revived in part by the fallout from the October 7 attack by Hamas on Israel, according to people close to TikTok and close to lawmakers. TikTok's users quickly inundated the platform with videos about the attack and Israel's war on Gaza. Some lawmakers say TikTok appeared to favor pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel content and renew calls to ban the app in the U.S. TikTok spokeswoman said that the videos that lawmakers are concerned about were created by its users, and the company argued it has been fair in moderating pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian videos. October 7 really opened people's eyes to what's happening on TikTok and its differential treatment of different topics, said Krishnamurti, adding that the coming election also fueled concerns. People are concerned about interference using TikTok. Here's Mitt Romney also saying that.
Typically, the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here?
US Senator Mitt Romney suggested TikTok was manipulating public opinion by boosting pro-Palestinian posts.
If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so. I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
But perhaps the platform is reflecting rather than shaping views. TikTok appeals to younger audiences and content creators who tend to be most sympathetic to the people of Gaza. And some even accuse the platform of being pro-Israel in removing content in support of Palestine.
Interesting. But there's more. Here's Chris Murphy, TikTok tucking itself in with Trump, Twitter under control of the White House, Facebook making major changes to placate MAGA, doing PR campaign aligned with Trump. Does everyone not see what's happening here and how terrifying this is, says Chris Murphy. To which Mike from Pennsylvania replies, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut was similarly circumspect when pressed on Schumer's conclusion about anti-Semitism in the left. I think there's an awful lot of hateful speech on the left and the right, he said. But Murphy did offer one concrete idea to combat anti-Semitism, banning TikTok. Part of what I really worry about is the way social media sites drive the narrative, especially for young people. If you look at anti-Semitism festering on platforms and you go, we have to ban TikTok, you have to have a fucking hole in your brain. It is ridiculous that you're posting on the anti-Semitic website, like the premier website for people that love posting Hitler gifs, going, we have to apologize to this guy. Twitter is the most anti-Semitic fucking website. What the fuck? This is what makes me so angry about this fucking process, too, because there are valid concerns with social media in general, whether it be breaking the minds of Americans and having a steady flow of misinformation run rampant, data privacy issues. All of these are real fucking problems, okay? But you want to know something? Every platform does it. So solve it by legislating on those issues rather than using those issues to say, this is why we must ban TikTok. That is what is so frustrating about this, okay? It's just a lie. That's it. Part of what I really worry about is the way that social media sites drive the narrative. TikTok is talking about Gaza. The way that TikTok is talking about Gaza is designed to divide Americans from each other. While Murphy had previously been reluctant to embrace a ban, the events of the last 2 months have pushed him toward the view that it's probably time to say that we shouldn't have a Chinese-owned social media company force-feeding divisive information to our kids. Like, what are we doing? TikTok is such a dangerous tool for China, so we're now allowing it to be on every phone for another 90 days, probably longer too. It's super serious security issue, by the way. Please care about China. Please, please, please. Yeah. Here is the ADL. Another very important responsible party for the TikTok ban in general. Okay?
You must take this deadly seriously. Pushing extremists off Wikipedia might not seem equal to...
By the way, they got this across. They got a bunch of the Wikipedia editors banned off of Wikipedia. The ADL actively worked to undermine Wikipedia's editorial integrity because they were upset that Wikipedia was straight up reporting the truth on the issue of Israel. And that's exactly what they did. They got them fired. They took out a bunch of Wikipedia editors recently.
The challenge of pushing Hezbollah north of the Litani River. Capturing TikTok might seem less meaningful than holding on to Mount Hermon. Libelous tweets certainly might seem less deadly than missiles from Yemen.
Yeah, he's saying that this is a full-scale war and information is a major component of it, and we have to control these platforms. We have to enforce our will upon these platforms. Understand what he is saying here. It is so ridiculous, man.
But this is urgent because the next war will be decided based on how Israel and its allies perform online as much as offline.
So you'd say there is not a disproportionate amount of youth on TikTok or pro-Palestinian sentiment than other platforms? Wait, what? No, I'm not denying that. I'm saying that is the reason why they want to ban it. Hello? Do you have an issue with that? Do you have an issue with that? Okay, that's what I thought. I was confused. No, there is definitely not a disproportionate amount. There's just like a proportionate amount that reflects reality, okay? What are we doing here at this point? Here's the original Greenblatt tweet from 2023. An intercepted communication, leaked audio of ADL Chief Executive Jonathan Greenblatt freaking out because global youth aren't buying Israel's propaganda anymore. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old.
True.
And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. They're actively and openly stating it. They're like, yeah, we want to ban it because people are seeing the truth about what Israel is doing, and that's completely unacceptable. And you know, we can't have that. We can't have that.
and like we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation, and the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped
Like, they're talking about young Jews, by the way. Like, they're saying young Jews are too pro-Palestinian, and they're getting radical in the face of like Israel's genocide. It's completely unacceptable. Also, long tracked. Think about that. They've been tracking the statements of Students for Justice for Palestine. They've been monitoring Jewish Voice for Peace, like anti-Zionist activists. Interesting.
to like Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups.
Like, they literally have, they're like, we have spies. We have spies inside of these groups. We have spies inside of groups like Jewish Voice for Peace. We have spies inside of groups like Students for Justice for Palestine. Isn't that weird? This is supposed to be a civil rights organization, chat. A civil rights organization. It's supposed to be tasked with combating anti-Semitism. And they're over here spying on Jewish students for the crime of being anti-Zionist. Make no mistake. They've done this before. They were doing this alongside apartheid South Africa back in the day. In the 90s, they got busted for quite literally doing this surveillance and spying and smear campaign on anti-apartheid activists of Jewish background even back then. Labor activists, labor organizers, American Jews who were against the apartheid in South Africa, they, the ADL, were working alongside the apartheid South African government and spying on them.
Saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like the language in their toolkits was all about the Zionist entity and lots of other language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
What does South Africa have to do with Israel? Great question. Well, they were both very important, valuable allies during the Cold War. They're both fascists and they're both apartheid regimes. They relied on one another for developing nuclear capabilities. Not the current South African leadership, of course. I'm talking about apartheid South Africa. People calling that chatter a dumbass as if most people don't. Yeah, most people don't know about this, for the record. Yeah, so that's why I said, good question. Second paragraph, last sentence. Yeah. It also worked with the NAACP to discredit the far-right Naspara operation. In the 1980s, it was involved in the propaganda against Nelson Mandela of South Africa before embracing him the following decade. Do you know why he mentioned Taglit? Taglit. He mentioned Taglit. He said the brilliant minds that came up with Taglit. Birthright. He's saying birthright is an incredibly valuable, an invaluable tool of propaganda for young American Jews. He's saying the brilliant minds that came up with the concept of birthright to do pro-Israeli propaganda should also be able to, deal with this TikTok issue. It's Tagli, is it? I don't know how to say it. Taglit? Taglit. Sorry, I mispronounced it. What is this?
We need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will, it is the 24/7 news channel of so many of our young people, and it's like Al Jazeera on steroids.
In November of 2023, a recording was leaked of Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, referring to TikTok as a problem that needed to be taken care of.
We have a major generational problem. The issue in the United States' support for Israel is not left and right.
I want to point to something here, okay? Make no mistake. there are other factors from other sectors that want a TikTok banned as well. Israel and the pro-Israeli lobby simply had enough institutional enforcement capabilities in terms of the legislative body to drag it across the finish line. Because if you think that other people, like, if you think that Facebook's Meta, Zuckerberg, Google, Elon Musk at Twitter, like if you think that those guys didn't want TikTok banned, or at least like take ownership away from the Chinese government and like give it to someone else, but ultimately get it banned or, stop it. If you think that those guys that didn't have like an alternative interest in TikTok, you'd be wrong. It benefits them greatly, right? This is why I've also explained that TikTok being banned technically as a content creator who's not really on TikTok that much, it benefits me as well, because 170 million people are now going to look to another social media platform. So when I'm defending this on principle, I'm not defending it because of my own personal motivations here, okay? Is someone texting you to add more context? Yeah, dude. The Jews, right? They're texting me to add more context. Is that what you're trying to, what you're trying to say here? Is that what you think is going on? Or do you think I care about the truth and I want to make sure that people are not simply looking at this issue with a reductive, people are not looking at this issue in the most reductive ways possible. Okay? If you think it's just because of Israel, then you're wrong. That's not the only reason. Okay? That's not at all what I meant. Why did you say that? Why did you mention that then? The truth is more complicated. It's more complex than, oh, it's just because of Israel. If you say it's just because of Israel, then you'll be wrong. It's not. I think that this certainly played a major role. Why? Because pro-Israeli institutions and organizations like the Apartheid Defense League, the ADL, AIPAC, and many other groups like this have a lot of motion in Congress. Okay? They do. They have an outsized amount of influence. That's true. Okay? They fund a lot of campaigns. They can get into these rooms that the average American can't. You can see this. You can see this in a hilarious way with Sacha Baron Cohen's Who is America? Think about how many doors he was able to open just by presenting himself as a former Mossad agent, Eran Morad. Think about that. Think about how comfortable American congresspersons were with just talking to a random guy who simply presented himself as an Israeli Mossad guy. For them, they had no reason to think like, oh my God, this must be an op. Because they were like, no, this happens all the fucking time. So obviously, yeah, no, it's just another weird Israeli guy. That's it. Like, it's silly to think about because it was like presented as a comedy, but there is some very serious truth there. He was able to open virtually every door. He was able to interview Dick Cheney, dude, just because he was representing Israel in their minds in that moment because they're so used to it.
And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Tagli, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like, fast.
Now, one interesting side note here is that I came across an ADL report expressing frustration that they couldn't access TikTok's analytics the way they can with every other big tech company. Like, should they be able to do that? Anyway, now we're about a month into this war, and all these studies started coming out, making claims about the proliferation of anti-Semitism on TikTok. The most notable one from a statistician and tech executive named Anthony Goldblum. He tweeted out on November 30th that a study he commissioned concluded 30 minutes.
Bro, look at this. X being the lowest? Come on, dude. I'm on all three of these platforms. Who are you lying to? That's the other side of this that is so fraudulent, okay? Please understand how fraudulent this study is, okay? All you need to do is just click on Twitter and spend 3 seconds on the platform. Now, why are they saying Twitter is the least anti-Semitic out of all these platforms? Why are they saying that? Because it's owned by Elon Musk, who is, ironically, more overtly anti-Semitic than Mark Zuckerberg is, and certainly more overtly anti-Semitic than any other person that owns any other social media platform. But he went to Israel. He went to Israel and he was like, "Oh, dude, this is, you know, he did it. He was pro-Israel. If you're pro-Israel, you can be as anti-Semitic as you want." Okay? That's the real grift, because these guys are way more invested in combating anti-Zionism instead of anti-Semitism. Now, make no mistake. Do I think personally that there are no anti-Semites who present themselves as anti-Zionist? Of course. I am the first to recognize that. And I talk about it all the time. The likes of Jake Shields or that one random doctor anti-vaxxer lady. Every now and then, in between like Palestine posting, we'll just then go and be like, look at all these rich Jews that are in power. Like, that's just you're just using Palestine to be anti-Semitic. You're using the issue of Israel's apartheid and Israel's genocide to actually propagandize your opinion, which is that you want people to hate Jews. Okay? Clandestine is another example of this. So just understand that while there are people who are prominently featured in mainstream outlets and on all these platforms that are overt anti-Semites, okay? Overt anti-Semites that present themselves as simply criticizing Israel. In terms of the way that most normal people analyze the situation, that is not the case. Okay? In terms of the on-the-ground organizing, that is certainly not the case. If you think that like Jewish Voice for Peace, If Not Now, or Students for Justice for Palestine are run by like rugged anti-Semites, you are a delusional loser. Okay? So why is it that Twitter is seen as the least anti-Semitic website on this study? Okay? Why? It's because the far greater danger for Israel is not the increased anti-Semitic, the increased anti-Semitism in the Western world. That benefits Israel's apartheid project. Okay? This is precisely the reason why I have time and time again explained to you that Benjamin Netanyahu will link up with overt anti-Semites in the West all the time. Okay? People like Viktor Orban, who ran on, you know, Jewish puppets, Jewish puppeteers are controlling society and won. Okay? Authoritarian people like Viktor Orban, who are running overtly anti-Semitic campaigns. Why does Benjamin Netanyahu like Viktor Orban, you might ask? Why does he have no issue with Viktor Orban, you might ask? Because Viktor Orban is pro-Israel. Okay? Why? Can you explain how anti-Semitism helped Israeli apartheid? Yes, because the greatest danger for Israel is not Hezbollah, is not Hamas. The greatest danger for Israel is the notion that like Jews in the West are not fearful of their existence due to increased anti-Semitism. Okay? The greatest threat to Israel is not Hamas. The greatest threat to Israel is Sherman Oaks. The greatest threat to Israel is Beverly Hills. The greatest threat to Israel is Boca Raton in Florida or Brooklyn or Long Island. Because if people are just like, yeah, I'm American, why should I care about this stuff? What are you talking about? If American Jews were to be like, yeah, I don't really associate with Israel like that. I don't really understand why we're just like giving them unlimited weapons. I'm an American, which is normal to think, by the way, and many people do think that. Then all of a sudden, Israel can't exist in the violent ways that it does as an apartheid regime. That's why it's so important. That's why the propaganda is so important. You're like, the Holocaust happened, and it did, of course, and that it can happen again. It can happen again. It's going to happen any day now. That's why Israel has to be a demographic majority Jewish ethno-state, because you have to have Israel as a demographic majority Jewish ethno-state, because if it doesn't exist like that, then, you know, Holocaust 2 is going to happen at any moment, is the prevailing domineering argument that pro-Israeli people make. Crazy you have to clarify? I do have to clarify for two reasons. One, because there are people who unfortunately are so fucking insane that nowadays people do question these narratives, okay? like as though it's a fucking narrative and not the truth. And two, the reason why I have to doubly clarify it is because people will regularly clip me out of context to try to present me as an anti-Semitic person because of my arguments against Israel behaving as an apartheid state, being an apartheid state. Just so you understand, Israel does not have an issue with overt anti-Semitism rising in the Western world. Okay? Here's Joe Biden elevating that same line. Without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world that's secure is an insane statement made by the president of a country that has the highest number of Jews outside of Israel. Like, what are you saying?
I think without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world that's secure.
And he said this time and time again. It's like when you're the American president and you say that, it sounds like a threat, dude. You know? Anyway, what? Hey, Hasanabi, is there a study done on your vids on YouTube for being ad blockaded? Just got on for today after watching a 27 video and saw 4 3-minute long ads as opposed to other videos from other popular content creators. Similar lengths, but 3 ads at most. And your longer videos are horrible. Am I the only one who gets this, or is it normal? You think my longer videos are horrible? What? Subscribe with Twitch Prime. Yes. I'm not running ads, but maybe I will. It's horribly dense with ads. Wait, really? Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but it probably isn't my videos. I don't think, were they talking about my YouTube channel or are they talking about a fan channel? They might be talking about a fan channel. Anyway, it's your main channel. Your other channels aren't as bad. Can get there on subjects, not horrible, but full of ads. I'll look into it. Now, the idea your YouTube is trash, Lazlo. The idea that like Israel is the safest place on the planet for Jews is also obviously insane, considering how violent the Israeli government is and how it constantly is trying to do upkeep for an apartheid where there are 5 million indigenous people that they're dominating in perpetuity. That's already a ridiculous thing. The shadow says, right, the place where Jews are conscripted to fight nonsense wars and the biggest Jewish massacre since the Holocaust happened is the only place where Jews are safe. Exactly. It's not safe at all. It's a constant war zone, and it doesn't have to be a constant war zone. It's only a constant war zone because the Israeli government can't maintain it without being a constant war zone. You're always going to have friction if you are trying to dominate 5 million indigenous people in real time. Like, that's insane. So it's a ridiculous idea, and it's constantly defended by ridiculous people who are pro-Israel. But like I said, this benefits the propaganda this necessitates propaganda Israel must put out, okay? In terms of, you know, Israel being an inherently violent settler colony, okay? Because that's what it is, both historically and in contemporary society. Israel behaves as a violent settler colony. And in order for Israel to keep defending itself on the propaganda front, they have to keep saying like, oh no, if this doesn't happen, if Israel doesn't behave this way, then, you know, Holocaust 2 is going to happen. This is why I took a very long way to explain this, but this is the reason why, one, the Israeli government does not mind anti-Semitism growing in the Western world because they can use that to tell all of the Jews that live in America or in the Western world to come to Israel, or at the very least offer material support to Israel, or at the very least offer Hasbara, defense of Israel online. Okay? But yeah, this is a laughable argument, though, to say that Twitter is like 8 times or 10 times less anti-Semitic than TikTok is hilarious.
A day on TikTok makes someone 17% more anti-Semitic. Politicians like Nikki Haley would then go on to regurgitate this claim on national television.
We do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why.
Yeah, also that analysis also featured that analysis also featured a wonderful little tidbit there. They snuck that in there if you noticed. Anti-Jewish and anti-Israeli sentiment. That's what they did in there. Anti-Israel sentiment is not anti-Jewish inherently, okay? It's ridiculous.
Every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok, every day, they become 17%
I remember this was so funny.
more anti-Semitic.
Except that survey didn't say that at all because it conflated anti-Israel and anti-Semitic sentiments, which I believe to be different. And B, Goldblum himself admitted that he made some logical leaps when he was drawing his conclusion. But now things are really moving at a rapid pace. The next day, on December 1st, 2023, the New York Post reported that a group of 40 mostly Jewish tech leaders and business executives confronted TikTok CEO Shouzi Chu over their concerns about anti-Semitism and the allegedly disproportionate popularity of pro-Palestine videos on the app. One of those executives, Anthony Goldblum, the same Anthony Goldblum who we were just talking about. And from everything I understand, the meeting didn't go well in the sense that TikTok didn't commit to a kind of wholesale removal of pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel content. So from then on, the fight against TikTok pivoted from a kind of PR battle that we were just looking at to now laying the groundwork to push legislation through that would ultimately ban the app. In March of 2024, a bill was introduced in Congress, H.R. 7521, called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, sponsored by Representative Mike Gallagher.
Foreign adversary control of what is becoming the dominant news platform for Americans under 30. This is a common sense measure to protect our national security. I urge my colleagues to support this critical bipartisan legislation.
The argument is one we've heard before. TikTok, owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, could pose a threat to US national security by harvesting user data, and its algorithm could also be weaponized to, quote, brainwash Americans. Now, these concerns I do think are valid in a sense, but I think it's worth noting that companies like Facebook and Google engage in similar data collection practices, and then...
Look at how, he replied to this tweet. We have had a lot of questions about why we labeled the chart anti-Semitic/anti-Israel and not just anti-Semitic. Different people, previously the CEO of Kaggle, what the hell is Kaggle? Different people have different views on which questions count as teasing out anti-Semitism. So we went with a more conservative chart title. For those interested, these are the raw questions that were asked in the survey. Jewish people can be trusted just as much as American people in business. Jewish people are just as loyal to America as other American people. I am just as open to having Jewish friends as I am to having friends from other sections of American society. Compared to other groups, Jewish people have too much power in the media. Jewish people talk about the Holocaust just to further their political agenda. Jewish people chase money more than other people do. I'm comfortable spending time with people who openly support Israel. Okay, one of these is not like the others. Israel has a right to exist as a homeland for the Jewish people. Israel is, okay. The first six, I'm like, okay, that's like, pretty good at assessing anti-Semitism. And then it immediately goes into the last five, which are all like truthful statements that will be designed as calling you anti-Semitic. That's crazy. Israel has a right to exist as a homeland. Israel has a right to defend itself against those who want to destroy it. Israel and its supporters are a bad influence on our democracy. Israel can get away with anything because its supporters control the media. Okay, this one is like still anti-Semitic. And then Israel treats the Palestinians like the Nazis treated the Jews. I mean, this is just objectively true. It's fact. Factually accurate.
And they would go on to sell this data to China. So China is getting the data anyway. But here's where things get really interesting. You start digging into Gallagher's largest campaign donors, you uncover a story that goes far beyond data privacy or Chinese influence. Near the top of his donor list is AIPAC, the Israeli lobby. Here's a crazy statistic for you. Of the 500 plus members of Congress, only 33 members did not receive a donation from the Israeli lobby in the last campaign cycle. So essentially, when Israel wants something from America, they usually get it. Now, another contributor I want to draw your attention to, Palantir Technologies, which is a defense contractor co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel. Palantir just happens to work very closely with the Israeli military, providing advanced surveillance and targeting software used extensively in their war on Gaza. And one of their consultants, a man named Jacob Hellberg, was responsible for writing the bill. Yeah, it's incredible. A defense contractor who profits off Israel's war were also the ones behind drafting a bill that would, in effect, stifle criticism of said war, which is a clear conflict of interest, no? At around the same time, the Jewish Federations of North America penned a letter to Congress urging lawmakers to ban TikTok due to anti-Semitism. Not one mention in their letter about China or data privacy.
TikTok runs all sorts of videos that portray the Israelis acting towards the Palestinians in barbaric ways. And when young people see these videos on TikTok, they obviously become remarkably sympathetic to the Palestinians, and they think badly, to put it mildly, of the Israelis. So the lobby would like to shut down TikTok.
On March 23, 2024, HR 7521 passed with largely bipartisan support. Looking back, I was fully expecting the bill to pass the House very, very quickly and easily, because there are a lot of bills that pass the House and don't make it through the Senate. The Senate is meant to slow things down. But 1 month later, on April 24th, the act passed in the Senate, again, with overwhelming bipartisan support, and was signed into law by Joe Biden on the following day. Like I said, I had never seen a bill go through Congress with that kind of speed and velocity, with very little opposition or debate. It's wild. And maybe even wilder, by that summer, Mike Gallagher, the representative who had sponsored the bill, was now working for Palantir as their head of defense. Ooh! He didn't even finish out his term. He just resigned from Congress and took a job there. I know, all of this sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory. In fact, the ADL did call this a conspiracy theory. The Atlantic also called this a conspiracy theory. They even name-checked me in their article. Quote, "The entire world knows exactly why the US is trying to ban TikTok," James Lee declared on March 16th. Not bad for your boy here, huh? And honestly, this would remain a conspiracy theory. I don't know if I would have made this video if they hadn't come out and confirmed their true motivations.
Typically, the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? Some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to.
That's why it's so funny when people will be like, "Oh, dude, oh, dude, it seems like we're broaching conspiracy theory territory here," and it's like, okay, but you're saying it. Like, why are you allowed to say it as long as everybody understands you're pro-Israel and it's a good thing? But like, when I repeat it, you're like, well, that's it. Some anti-Semitism happening here. It's not Jews, man. It's Israel, okay? That's the most important thing for people to consider here. Like, if fundamentally you think that like Israel is doing this at the behest of Judaism or Jews, you're wrong, okay?
Shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest.
And that's where we are today. China or Israel? I'll let you be the judge.
Yeah, I saw what the ADL boss said about TikTok in the Knesset. What is this? The new anti-Semitism, the Arab global conspiracy. Sure, I'll maybe take a look at it. But also, there's a possible rug pull going on with the Trump coin, which we'll cover in a second. Hold on, let's hear what our boy Michael Penis is saying though. I'm not gonna watch this, man. I'm not gonna watch this. Okay, take an hour off. Please stop spamming it. You know that you're being annoying. Well, you're spamming it because I haven't looked at it, and you also simultaneously have like. You sometimes keep saying like, "Oh, I'm being annoying, I know, but can you please watch this?" Take an hour off.
I think we will enforce the law. And when President Trump issued the Truth Post and said, "Save TikTok," the way we read that is that he's going to try to force along a true divestiture, changing of the hands, the ownership. It's not the platform that members of Congress are concerned about. It's the Chinese Communist Party and their manipulation of the algorithms. They have been flooding the minds of American children with terrible messages, glorifying violence and anti-Semitism and even suicide and eating disorders.
It's so funny to say this, like, as though Meta didn't have a massive lawsuit in their hands for eating disorders and also anti-Semitism, but Twitter is great.
I mean, crazy kind of stuff. And they're mining the data of American citizens. It's a very dangerous thing. The Chinese Communist Party is not our friend, and we have to make sure this changes hands. I'm really heartened to see that Google and Apple and Microsoft have taken the steps to comply with the law. There needs to be a sale of full divestiture from the Chinese Communist Party, and I think President Trump is the one that can make that deal happen, so we're excited about it. No, I think we will.
Why don't MSM bring up that exact point? Because they're not interested in the truth. What do you mean? Especially as it pertains to Israel, which is an incredibly important foreign policy asset. Okay. When has the American government, or when has the American media apparatus straight away from State Department propaganda? Never. The answer is never. There's like very rarely do you ever see something that is like overtly critical. Tom Cotton's still talking a big game, saying he's going to ban it. Any company that hosts, distributes services, or otherwise facilitates communist-controlled TikTok could face hundreds of billions of dollars in ruinous liability under the law, not just from the DOJ, but under securities law, shareholder lawsuits, and state attorney generals. Think about it. So there are still people that are undermining the big dog, Donald Trump. But here, Austin Ox apparently was making the initiative to get... Yeah, I practiced it.
I told you. TikTok.
Anyway, you have a Taiwanese accent when you try to speak Chinese? I wasn't speaking Mandarin. It was AI. The AI might give me a Taiwanese accent. Okay. We're going to go... I'm going to finish off the TikTok stuff, and then I'm going to go to Gaza ceasefire.
Breaking news from TikTok, the social media app, saying it is in the process of restoring service after going dark for more than 170 million American users late last night. In a statement, the company says President-elect Trump gave it the clarity that service providers would not be penalized. Congress passed the bipartisan bill last April that led to a current banning of TikTok. But it was Trump who signed an executive order, you will remember, in August of 2020 to step up pressure on the Chinese-owned app to sell to an American company. Now, Trump is saying he wants the U.S. to have a 50% ownership stake between ByteDance or new owners. Joining us now for more on this, cybersecurity and data protection expert Caitlin Sarian. Caitlin, thanks for taking the time and being with us. Let's start by getting your reaction to TikTok's announcement on a restoration of service.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in shock for the last 48 hours. I was in denial. And then last night when it went out, I was in shock and I just kind of stared at my phone. I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the future. And this is looking good for the 170 million of us that are on TikTok. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been a roller coaster of emotions for a lot of us that are content creators on the platform.
So online, you are known as Cybersecurity Girl. You create content specifically educating your viewers on topics like data protection and privacy, things of that nature. Congress and the Supreme Court say this is a national security risk, not necessarily just TikTok, but apps owned by foreign adversaries or companies that are from a foreign adversary. Do you believe Americans' information is really at risk here? Well,
As a cybersecurity professional, you know that everything is a risk, right? You always have to take a risk-based approach. So every service, every website, every app that you use and download, every time you're giving your information to someone, no matter who it is, you have to take a risk-based approach. And for me personally, when I heard back when TikTok was going to partner with Oracle and try to move their services over to the US, I think this was 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, I started feeling more comfortable going on the platform. So before actually...
What? Wait, you're a cybersecurity and data privacy expert, and you think that Americans handling your data is better? This gotta be a joke, right? I think she's saying that because it gives her, whenever there's massive data leaks that take place where, regular Americans have their social security numbers leaked or whatever, which happens virtually weekly at this point. She gets to do TikTok videos on it. So she's she loves it. She's yeah, it's great. I'm so glad. What?
Actually didn't go on the platform. I took that risk-based approach. I said, I don't feel comfortable giving my data to China at that moment in time. When I heard that TikTok was starting to partner with Oracle, I decided, hey, my risk-based approach it's okay because I feel like my purpose is bigger and I'm going to be able to reach a larger audience. And that was my risk-based approach. But every single individual has to take that approach, no matter if it's TikTok, whatever app you're using, and just knowing who you're sharing your information with, there's always a risk, especially when it comes to China or other foreign adversaries as well.
Yeah, I think most Americans, I get personal texts to my personal phone from politicians asking me, all sorts of things. Everybody gets my information. So I think a lot of Americans are wait a minute, everybody has our information, but this is different. This is about foreign adversaries and what they could possibly do. You worked at TikTok, right? I want to know if you think, could you ever?
Wait, I'm sorry. What makes you think if scam sites And, you know, political campaigns can get your phone number without you giving it to them. What makes you think China can't do that? You kind of answered your own question there, where you're like, Americans are pretty pretty annoyed with the lack of data privacy in general, but it's basically become like a normal part of our existence at this point. But even without TikTok, yeah, scammers don't share data with the Chinese based on principle.
Ever imagine a day when we'd be at this point?
No. And again, TikTok was always about inspiring creativity and bringing joy. So I actually started my TikTok, and then ironically, I got my job at TikTok from my TikTok. So I grew really well on TikTok for about a year. And then I applied to a job at TikTok because I was so passionate about their mission. And it completely changed my life. And I know it's completely changed so many of my friends around me life. It impacts so many small businesses. It's unbelievable. And it is a little bit ironic that I truly feel like the TikTok app is the American dream, right? It's allowing people to reach worldwide. It's allowing small businesses to expand outside of their small hometowns. It's really bringing in tons of money for American citizens. And so I had such a passion and purpose. I really, really wanted to work there. And seeing all the behind the scenes, I want to preface that I did not work there's two separate TikToks, right? There's a TikTok US, after Trump had stated that he wanted to bring it more to the US or sell to the US. So they started splitting off. There's a TikTok US specifically, and then there's a TikTok Global. And I actually worked at TikTok Global. So I didn't see or touch any of the US data. We were solely focused on everything outside.
Bro, she's she went straight to the heart. Bro, she's Chinese, dude. Wait, what? She said, I'm not even working for TikTok US. That's for the birds. I'm straight up tapped in, okay? Secretary of the Communist Party of China has me on dial-up.
Of the US, so all the other countries that use TikTok. But the team that I know that worked at TikTok US, like dedicated individuals, ex-FBI agents, and then they were, again, partnering with Oracle. So I really felt comfortable with them. But again, it's a risk-based decision. Obviously, I don't know what the Supreme Court saw. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that I didn't have any privy of seeing, and a lot of the American citizens don't, which is why most of us are very confused and hurt and upset and shocked. But I truly believe that our government is doing this to protect the United States as a whole, even if we might not see it that way. So again, it's hard for me because I see both sides, right? I absolutely love the platform. I've seen how much it impacts people, but I also see the negative side effects of apps and just cybersecurity as a whole. So it's very hard for me to judge. All I know is personally, I don't regret my decision of going on TikTok. It's completely changed my life, and I know it's changed so many other people's lives as well.
Caitlin Sarian, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us about it. I do appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for having me.
This morning, President-elect Trump is set to have breakfast with GOP senators before.
Bro, what? Is there any chance that Dems have any plan to mount real opposition to the Trumpenreich? No. So far, it's been looking real bad. What? Oh, yeah. This is from that same Knesset meeting where he said some unhinged ass shit. He said,
We've got to start.
He said that the pager terrorist attack in Lebanon was a genius act combating anti-Semitism, and we need to see more of it or something.
Doing things differently. And the same goes here in Israel. This means that the problem won't be solved by yet another new Knesset task force. It won't be solved by the government just throwing money at the problem. It won't be solved by the IDF spokesperson's unit issuing updated talking points or suddenly using TikTok. Like us in America, you need to adopt new strategies, to experiment with creative tactics, to study the results and scale what works. Maybe it's a whole new IDF unit, call it 8300, to lead this fight. But we need the kind of genius that manufactured Apollo gold pagers and infiltrated Hezbollah for over a decade to prepare for this battle. We need the kind of courage that executed Operation Deep Layer inside Syria and destroyed Iranian missile manufacturing capabilities to undertake this mission. This is the kind of ingenuity and inventiveness that have always been a hallmark of the State of Israel, that have always been a characteristic of the Jewish people. I know we can do it.
Civil rights leader, by the way. An American civil rights leader. Is wild, man.
Laura Trump.
Dana White speaking at the rally. Liberalism is dead. This is true. The problem is what's taking its place is not socialism or anything. It's what's taking its place is just fascism. Liberalism is completely dead. The rise of the ultra right in the U.S. Ultra right. No, this is we're so cooked.
For visiting Arlington Cemetery for the changing of the guard and the laying of the wreath.
He then heads to the Capital One Arena to speak at a MAGA victory rally where we are expecting thousands of supporters.
Griff Jenkins is outside of said arena and joins us right now. And Griff, because they canceled the parade, and all those people behind you were going to be at the parade tomorrow, but there is no parade. So they want to be able to see the president, and that's why some of them started standing in line a couple days ago.
That's right. Good morning, Steve. And this crowd is growing here. The weather's not even bad. You can see they are ready for that MAGA victory rally. President-elect Trump's going to speak. Vance is going to speak. Elon's going to speak. They're going to hear from all sorts of musical acts, Kid Rock, the Village people, Billy Ray Cyrus. But let's start talking to people here. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Barbara. I'm from New York.
And why did you come, and are you ready for this rally?
I'm absolutely ready. I went to the MSG rally, but I'm going to tell you something. I came to America 47 years ago yesterday, and now I'm here today to witness, well, tomorrow, the 47th president. You can't make that up.
What does this mean to you?
It means a lot to me because my great-grandfather was a miner, okay? And then my grandmother was born in West Virginia. So then my father came here with my brother. They worked hard, and they brought all of us back to America. And we came here for the better tomorrow, the American opportunity, the land of opportunity. That's what we came for.
And you got a tattoo going here, too. Where are you from?
I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Why are you here?
I'm Jessup. I'm here for the 47. We made it. We worked really hard to get here. The people put a mandate, right? So I'm just so proud, and I want to see Trump and make it official.
Did you get that tattoo because of Pete Hegseth?
Pete Hegseth, yeah, you're right. But look I have the 45 right here, and I'm going to put the 47 somewhere.
All right, here. Great to talk to you. Come with me for a second, guys. You can see literally this line goes.
Dude, we are so insane. We're just unwell. We are not well, dude. The level of unrestricted, unlimited, unfettered mental illness is out of control, okay? Oh my God. Who is we? We, man. We. America. Americans. Yeah, I'm not speaking French. I'm saying we, bro. This is us. Look. Look in the mirror. And when I say we, when Europeans go we, that's just a you thing. Make no mistake, you have your own version of this. When America gets a cough, Europe catches a cold, okay? If you think that the unlimited brain rot that you're seeing simply stays in the United States of America and doesn't infiltrate your brain waves too, very quickly, as a matter of fact, you got another thing coming. It's so funny, Hassan, being a fascist again. What? There are very few places on the planet. Where you're not being impacted by this. Maybe if you live in China, or maybe if you live in like Mexico. I mean, Mexico is going to be impacted by this too. I just don't know what that brain rot looks like right now in Mexico. Select Latin American countries, not as impacted by the brain rot, but much of my audience is in the Western world. You live in Western liberal capitalist democracies, right? Many of you take the social safety nets that you have currently, albeit diminished, for granted. But every other place, every other social, quote unquote, social democracy in Western liberal capitalist nations is going through the same exact fascist shock right now.
4 blocks down here. Look at this. Wait, what's that move right there?
Keep going down, man. It's gonna keep going forever and forever down.
All right, we'll keep going. Let's keep going down here. We got people fired up. What's your name? Where are you from? Come here. I'm not gonna bite.
Jerry Smith.
And you're from North Carolina. Why'd you come?
Just to see President Trump get inaugurated.
What would you say to him if you could talk to him?
I'd say, do a good job. Keep God first.
What do you hope is the accomplishment of President Trump? What do you hope this administration brings for you?
I hope that he returns America back to faith, Christianity, and hope for all of the people to have a wonderful life.
All right, so that's a little bit of what this crowd's saying out here. We'll send it back to you guys.
Bro, these guys are all going to hell. Okay. Like, that's what's, dude, being like super hopped up on Christianity fumes and thinking that the Antichrist is your guy is so funny. It'll never not be funny. Just totally ridiculous, dude. Anyway, Gaza ceasefire, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about some good news. The Teflon Don done did it again. Before people yell at me and get mad, obviously I have a more nuanced approach to this subject matter in terms of like the validity of the ceasefire or how long it will stay and what the impact is going to look like than just simply saying Donald Trump, the man, the myth, the legend, he came in and he did the thing. Okay. Regardless of how much liberals try to say, oh, Hassan is so stupid. He's a Trump supporter now. Let's take a look.
Outside the car, Hamas fighters and a huge crowd. Huddled inside, 3 Israeli hostages handed over to the Red Cross on their way back to their families after more than a year in captivity. In Tel Aviv, they'd gathered to watch history unfold.
I just can't believe that this day is finally here and that it didn't come already a long time ago as well. I just can't imagine what these girls have gone through and can't wait to have them back in our arms. I can't explain what we feel. I can't explain. We're like just like a big family. That's all I can feel. I don't know them, but they're like my sisters. I can't explain. It's insane.
Amongst those freed today, Emily Damari, a British-Israeli dual national and a Tottenham Hotspur fan, kidnapped on October the 7th from kibbutz Kfar Aza.
My beautiful, funny and brave daughter, who I love to the moon and back, deserves to come home. I need to hug her again and I need to see her smile.
Also released, Doron Steinbrecher.
Come on, chat. Chat be like, oh, Tottenham fan, send her back. Calm down, man. Calm down. Y'all are fucking stupid. First of all, Ested is a Spurs fan as well. Friend of the show, Ested, also a Spurs fan. I didn't realize I had so many goddamn gooners in this chat. What the hell is going on? None of you watch this much football, dude.
Veterinary nurse, again from Kfar Aza, and Romy Gonen, shot and abducted at the Nova Music Festival. We spoke to her mother after a previous ceasefire deal collapsed.
We were so sure she will go out at Friday, and it was devastating. To wake up at 4:30 and follow the news and then see there is no list.
In Gaza today, as the ceasefire began, smiles, selfies, and most of all, a sense of relief. Here, they chant patriotic songs. My homeland, you're a paradise. Victory, victory, shout these boys. Some of the widest smiles on the faces of Gaza's paramedics.
I'm sorry, man. How can you not feel elation and joy when you see these people who have gone through the absolute worst thing, like historically imaginable, the absolute worst thing, a genocide, having a sense of having a sense of hope and optimism. Now, on the one hand, I don't feel that this ceasefire will hold in terms of like the first phase into the second phase. I do not trust the Trump administration to actually maintain any sort of like dignity for the Palestinians in this process. I don't think that they're pro-Palestinian even remotely. But having said that, in this moment, just like I've advocated for Ukraine as well, like a ceasefire brings humanity back. You know what I mean? It's great. Even if you can't actually trust the Israeli side to maintain the ceasefire or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, look at this. These people, for once, after 400 plus days, do not have to fear that a drone strike could take them out. This is something that none of us will ever understand. Like, we will never be able to understand this level of fear. Like, existing in this situation, existing within the confines of living inside of a concentration camp that is being genocided by an oppressive sovereign state backed by the largest superpower on the planet. So no matter who's doing it, no matter how they're doing it, no matter how they push for it, I will always and forever be grateful for those who seek out peace, even if it is for a brief moment. Okay? So much respect to Donald Trump's golfing buddy, real estate shark, Witkoff, and the Trump administration for, at least in the interim period, pushing for a ceasefire and hostage negotiation that Biden never had the interest of pushing for 15 months of death and destruction. Okay? Now, on the one hand, I mention this with the full recognition that there are probably additional deals that were made to Benjamin Netanyahu in terms of sullying this deal down the line, in terms of giving them more weapons to even bomb Gaza further. Trump wants normalization with Saudi Arabia. West Bank's annexation is a no-go. Yeah. If we haven't already, I think it's important to highlight just how many members of Hamas were able to muster in full uniform with weapons after a massive military operation. Yeah. This, by the way, once again, is a show of force and is basically to tell Israel, like, you didn't do anything. Like, look at this. Like, after 15 months of unlimited maximalist genocide, you still have a standing military with operational procedures, gear. Obviously, they don't wear this gear when they're fighting. This is more so usually symbolic. But it's crazy to think that they just pummeled the Gaza Strip for 15 months. And these guys still have some kind of command structure, operation structure, divisions. They're fully operational. Like, look at that. All Israel did was butcher women, children, and the elderly, causing both Hamas and Islamic Jihad and, you know, the PFLP, DFLP, and numerous other coalition forces that are tasked with the emancipation of Palestine to genuinely increase their ranks. It's not about Hamas. Hamas is all but a name. But if the goal is to end Israeli sovereignty over Palestinians, one, that is a righteous goal. Two, it's an understandable goal. And three, it will take the shape and form of numerous different names, but the goal will still remain because the people have a worthy cause. Emancipation is a worthy cause. That's it. That's it. You cannot bomb people into, unless you do a full-blown genocide, unless you complete the genocide. Okay, you are not going to be able to successfully undermine millions of people's interest in emancipation. That's it. One of the most unexpected developments today is that in Yemen TV, the state broadcaster of the Republic of Yemen has journalists embedded inside of Gaza. Here's a Yemen TV journalist asking an Al-Qassam fighter to send a message back home to the people of Yemen. This is a message from the resistance fighters, to our brothers in Yemen. All our greetings, all our greetings, all our greetings to our people in Yemen. Yemen is a crown on the heads of the people in Gaza. Yemen is a crown on our heads. All greetings to Yemen. All respect to them. Even with full genocide, there's still diaspora. Yeah, I mean, there's still diaspora. Is Hassan an Israel supporter? Brother, what do you think? What a crazy question. Yuck. Anyway. There's still a diaspora, and there's still going to be a ton of people who are going to want, understandably, to go back to their ancestral homelands. Yeah, Jeremy wrote an article. I'll read it as well, but let's continue with this. Bro, they got the social media division going too. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. What is it? Hamas released the video showing the Israeli hostages. Oh, the hostage release video, you mean? Okay. Let's get back to this is from NTV, but let's get back to where was it? Oh, damn, you got Trump out there too. Let's get back to the coverage here.
First, they've spent the past 15 months witnessing unbearable horror. Now, Israel's bombs, at least for the moment, have fallen silent. It's over, he shouts.
I really hope so.
Parading on the streets. Hamas fighters putting on a show of force. Despite the bloodshed, they're trying to portray the fact they're still standing as a victory. We remain. Netanyahu is a failure in the dustbin of history. this man proclaims belligerently. But much of Gaza now resembles an apocalyptic wasteland. Displaced families today began to return to the north of the Strip.
I'll get to Trump in a second.
Ferocious and renewed Israeli offensive in recent months has left destruction as far as the eye can see. Sami Barakat has come to see what's left of the 3 apartments and supermarket his family once owned.
We found the place destroyed, as if it had been hit by an earthquake or a volcano. It's indescribable. This street used to be the most beautiful street in the Jabalia area.
Practically Gaza's entire population has been forced out from their homes. Sami's daughter Aya is wondering whether to pitch a tent from the ruins of their house.
I'm here next to my destroyed house. I look left and right and see nothing that can be salvaged. I'm unable to describe these feelings. No human can. Where will we live? This is the question for which we have no answer.
Some here can barely recognize where their homes once stood.
Another thing that I worry for in the ceasefire interim period is the random criminal elements that Israel gave weapons to in an effort to further destabilize aid distribution and what they will do to take advantage of the structure. But seeing that there is still very clearly a Hamas command and control over the area, hopefully they will be able to create some semblance of order, because that is the reality, by the way. Like there were literal criminal elements that they were offering American weapons to in an effort to ruin aid distribution. So there will probably be internal instability in the interim period within the Strip that the media will probably portray as like, oh, these are brave forces that are taking matters into their own hands to combat Hamas for the crimes of like what Israel did to Hamas. In the upcoming weeks, you'll hear some news coverage on that if it does happen.
Others pick through the debris, looking for any possessions they can find. Still, amidst it all, there's also defiance. Despite the siege and the destruction, says Mina, we will raise the flag of Palestine, no matter the cost, and we will be victorious. For both sides in this awful conflict, there is now a new hope that more hostages will be released, that the war will finally end.
Well, everyone here at Hostage Square hoping to be back here again next week. That's when the next batch of Israeli hostages are due to be released. Meanwhile, currently in the occupied West Bank, preparations underway for the release of around 90 Palestinian detainees. We've already seen dozens of aid trucks entering into Gaza today, delivering much needed vital supplies for people there. At the moment, families in Gaza who've been displaced to the south cannot yet return to the north. They'll be able to do that next week. But there are...
Yeah, they're also not allowing celebrations in the West Bank. It's illegal for the Palestinians to celebrate their family members being returned.
Still concerns about how long this ceasefire will last, particularly whether it will go beyond the first 6-week phase. Ultra-nationalists here in Israel insist on trying to defeat Hamas militarily, whatever that might mean. You can see from the images today, though, the group's still very much on the ground there.
Thanks very much indeed. Well, as you just heard, one of the hostages returned this afternoon is 28-year-old Emily Damari. She was the only British-Israeli citizen still being held by Hamas in Gaza. In the last few minutes, these images of her with her mother have been released. According to witness testimonies from the attack, she was shot in the hand and injured by shrapnel.
What do you mean by not allowed? Exactly what you think I mean. As in, if Palestinian families celebrate their hostages coming back home from the Israeli detention facilities, they will be arrested and put into Israeli detention facilities again. For the record, this isn't new. They did this last time as well. Already, Israeli forces stormed the home of Palestinian hostage Zainab Arbar in Silwan, warning her family against celebrating her expected release on Sunday, enforcing Israel's policy to suppress any expression of joy within Israeli territory. It's so funny. It's like, it sounds stupid, right? Like, it sounds insane. I get it. If you live in America and you hear me say this, you're like, oh, come on, bro. It sounds comically evil. I just want to also let you know, in the upcoming days, we will find out about the harrowing conditions of torture the Palestinian detainees were subjected to, where all things stand, and I'm being 100% as objective as I possibly can, In spite of experiencing a genocide, the Palestinian militancy and their treatment of the hostages across the board, by and large, is infinitely better. You can say that that is because this is their negotiations chip. This is the one thing that they can bargain with. And that's why they had to place a supreme amount of importance on protecting them. And sure, that's part of it. But that still does not change the reality. When Palestinians, if they are lucky enough to come out of Israeli detention, they come out with permanent scars. No, the no happiness rule doesn't exist in Gaza. Gaza is not controlled by Israel. The no happiness and no celebration rule can only be enforced where the Israeli military is. If you are shocked that Israel would rob Palestinians of the joy, exhibiting the joy that they feel for finally seeing their family members again, let me tell you, this is very normal for the way that the Israeli government operates. Why you eat so much fat, so? It's because I need to fuel my muscles. It's what makes your mom, it's what made your mom fall in love with me. All right, let's listen to the next president.
I don't want to say this, it's too braggadoo. The Trump effect, it's you're the effect. Since the election, the stock market has surged and small business optimism has soared a record 41 points to a 39-year high. Bitcoin has shattered one record high after another. The major investment company
That's crazy to say while he's doing a shitcoin rug pull.
Properties has announced that it will be investing between 20 and 40 billion dollars in the United States, and SoftBank, another great company, has pledged between 100 and 200 billion dollars. These are all investments that are only being made because of the fact that we won the election. Going to create jobs for hundreds of thousands, even millions of Americans. Today I spoke with Tim Cook of Apple. He said they're going to make a massive investment in the United States because of our big election win.
You are the Trump effect.
And as of today, TikTok is back.
We shouldn't be celebrating decent hostage conditions. No. Did you misunderstand my point? I'm saying that all hostages deserve dignity. The problem is Israel has far too many Palestinian hostages and routinely tortures them, sometimes kills them, while simultaneously claiming that that's what the Palestinians are doing all the time.
Have never won the young vote, the youth vote. They win a lot of votes, but they never won the youth vote. We won the youth vote by 36 points. So I like TikTok. I like it.
See?
I like it. I had a slightly good experience, wouldn't you say? Romney lost it by 40 points.
I told you.
Not so long ago, we won it by 36 points. That's a very big spread. But I said we need to save TikTok. But I said we need to save TikTok. Tremendous. Who in this audience goes with TikTok? Many? Very popular. And frankly, we have no choice. We have to save it. A lot of jobs. We don't want to give our business to China. We don't want to give our business to other people. And I said, you know, TikTok without my approval, meaning the president's approval, because Congress gave the president the right to make a deal, do whatever he wants. And they did that a long time ago when they had a different president. They didn't know that I was going to be the president, I guess. So I said, very simply, a joint venture. So if TikTok is worth nothing, zero, without an approval, you know, if you don't approve, they're out of business, they're worth nothing. If you do approve, they're worth like $1 trillion. They're worth some crazy number. So I said, I'll approve, but let the United States of America own 50% of TikTok. I'm approving on behalf of the United States. So they'll have a partner, the United States, and they'll have a lot of bidders, and the United States will do what we call a joint venture. And there's no risk. We're not putting up any money. All we're doing is giving them the approval, without which they don't have anything. So I don't know. It sounds like that works. What do you think? Good? So whether you like TikTok or not, we're going to make a lot of money. Perhaps most beautiful of all, this week we achieved an epic ceasefire agreement as a first step toward lasting peace in the Middle East. And this agreement could only have happened as a result of our historic victory in November. That was some victory. Was that greatest? I don't even know which was greater, 2016 or this one. I think this one. Look, Honest Abe Lincoln. We have Honest Abe. We have Uncle Sam. You know, Uncle Sam shook my hand about 2 months ago. He's got the strongest grip I've ever. You are a strong man.
I said, what the hell was that? But I'm glad to report that the first hostages have just been released. Who knows what's going to happen? I know that Biden is saying that they made the deal. Well, you know, and that deal should have done. First of all, it would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. There was not even a thought of it. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money. They were broke, totally broke, and they would have never done anything. But they did it, you know. I like to think back to the past. I said, if only the election weren't rigged, all the things that would have happened, that would have been so good, but it was. We're not going to let that happen again. I want to thank my friend Steve Witkoff, who I think is here. I know he made a beautiful speech. I heard he made a great speech. He's an amazing guy. I said, I got to get myself a negotiator. We have to get a good negotiator. A lot of guys are knowledgeable, but they can't negotiate. They don't have the personality or whatever. And Steve does, and Steve's a great negotiator, very successful guy. But he's our new special envoy to the Middle East for helping reach this great breakthrough, and really couldn't have been done without Steve. Where is Steve Witkoff? Is he around here someplace? Because he was so great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. What a job. Our incoming administration has achieved all of this in the Middle East in less than 3 months without being president. We've achieved more without being president than they've achieved in 4 years with being president. But just imagine all of the good things that we will accomplish together with 4 more years in the White House, and we're going to do a lot of things. You're going to see something tomorrow. You're going to see executive orders that are going to make you extremely happy. Lots of them. Lots of them. We have to set our country on the proper course. By the time the invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border trespassers will in some form or another be on their way back home. Think of it. We've allowed millions and millions of people into our country through open borders, no checks, no vetting, no anything. Millions and millions of people. And lots of those people are murderers. 52% of them killed more than one person. Other than that, they're quite fine. They're nice people. These are rough people. Remember, I used to say these people are rough. And they would say, no, no, these are illegal immigrants. They're very safe. I said, they're not safe. Look at what's happened with Venezuela, where they're bringing these gangs in and they're taking over apartment complexes in Colorado and then cutting off the fingers of a man who...
Oh, it begins. Project 2025 begins.
...desire to call the police. He said, you want to call the police?
Hilarious. It is a Trump Gold Blend ad on the side, too.
People, and they're getting the hell out of our country. They're out. The border security will be the most aggressive, sweeping effort to restore
an incredible,
our borders the world has
a record
ever
number.
seen. You know, we had the best, safest...
Record number of executive orders coming in on day one.
Remember that with the great chart that I put up. I don't even know if they have that chart now. Maybe they do. These guys are good. Maybe they do. Who the... I don't know. I didn't tell them I was going to do this. I didn't tell, but we have some very good people, but I didn't say. But we had a chart, and I looked to my right, and then they said, ooh, that was it. That hurt. What the hell was that? I still have that throbbing feeling in my ear. Oh, there it is. Look at it. These people are amazing. I didn't tell them I was doing that. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's all over the place. I love that. That is the most beautiful piece of paper I've ever seen in my life.
You played a part on it with memeing? I played a part of what? Trump winning? Is that what you're saying? Like I played a formative role in Trump's electoral success? Because after his election success, he did 2 things that I said he was most likely going to do, even before the election. You're right. That's right. I'm a Trump supporter. I love Donald Trump.
Continued, and we're taking in people that shouldn't be here. They come in from prisons, from jail.
You don't want ever the argument to be saying the truth makes you a Trump supporter. That's a self-goal, okay? That's a self-own for no reason. Never associate telling the truth if Donald Trump says does something that is correct, even for the interim period. Covering that objectively should never be associated with being a Trump supporter. Because if you do that, you automatically give Trump another W, okay? That's it. It's a self-own for no reason. So if you come in here as a 68-month subscriber of mine and say, Hassan, because of your objective reporting on this, okay, like the role that Trump played in both the ceasefire and also in the stay of execution for TikTok at least 90 days into the future makes you a Trump supporter, makes me feel like you guys are doing the same thing that Israel supporters do, where they associate Israel's most violent actions with Judaism. To the uninitiated who isn't as interested in partisan politics as you are, you look silly. You look stupid. You give Trump additional credit for no reason.
Saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect.
Jane's got to be salivating at this. He's like, this is great stuff.
National.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
If they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder and the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Martinez and Angel wrapped his arms around Jocelyn's neck.
Is this real? In every single fiscal year since Joe Biden has taken office, there's been around like 20 plus cases of manslaughter and murder, like, you know, accidental manslaughter, including like vehicle accidents, stuff like that. And this propaganda, I suspect, features every single high-profile incident, like almost all of them, okay? In this last year, there was 29 total instances of manslaughter and murder. 29, not like 290, not 29,000. What's the source on this? The Department of Homeland. This is numbers that come directly from ICE. That's where the source is for the number.
Into our country. Many other places the same. I would have done the same if I headed up any of the countries. I know most of those guys are smart. They're leaders. They are smart, streetwise people. As soon as I heard they were going to have open borders, I said,
you
do
believe
that,
them?
every prison all over the world is going to be...
You're right. The Department of Homeland Security is also woke. Is that the argument now, that they're woke too? And that's why they're lying about the numbers? Customs and Border Patrol is lying about the numbers. It's right here. Homicide and manslaughter, 29 in the fiscal year 2024, 29 in the fiscal year 2023. In the fiscal year 2022, 62, fiscal year 2021, 60. Okay? As opposed to the overall homicide and manslaughter number across the board, like the actual number of Americans dying or like instances of homicide and manslaughter happening on U.S. soil in these same years is infinitely higher, like 20,000. Okay. So they contribute, undocumented migrants contribute an incredibly low number. Okay. That's why it's so crazy that Republicans actively lie and say these guys are all criminals and they're doing incredible amounts of murder, but it's still a non-zero number. Yeah, of course it's a non-zero number. Undocumented migrants are not like a hive mind, number one. And number two, of course, it's a non-zero number. Everyone is capable of doing manslaughter or homicide. But if your goal is to lower the number of murders, which is what every government's role should be, okay, then hyper-focusing on undocumented immigrants is the stupidest thing you can do. Yeah, also, this is non-citizens. So it's not even just like undocumented migrants. It's actually also legal migrants as well. Legal and illegal total number. 24,000 murders and homicides, manslaughter overall. 29 out of the 24,000 was non-citizens, as in legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. 29 overall. Tell me how that, like, deporting 20 million people is going to reduce the number of homicides in this country. It's not.
Government efficiency headed by a gentleman named Elon Musk, who's here.
Oh, also they kicked out Vivek. Vivek is out now, so it's just Elon on Doge.
Come here, Elon. Did you see his rocket yesterday? It was captured, and X is with him. X. Come on, Elon. Okay.
I can't believe that's Grimes' child.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, little X just followed me on the stage here. He's a very enthusiastic supporter.
He's like, please don't kill me. I have a son. I have a baby. Please, please.
So
this is my little human shield X.
we're looking forward to making a lot of changes, and you know, this victory is the start, really. What matters going forward is to actually make significant changes, cement those changes, and set the foundation for America to be strong for a century, for centuries, forever.
Oh my God.
So, and make America great again. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, we're gonna do great things here. Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
USA!
You know, I always say we have to be protective of our geniuses because we don't have too many, but that one is a good one. Now, I watched his rocket come down about...
Bro, I'm not... This is why, by the way, what you just saw right there is the reason why I was like, it can't be Adrian Dittman. Adrian Dittman can't be Elon Musk. Because that's how Elon Musk operates. That's how he talks.
Beautifully came down. It's tumbling. It's a mess. It's going down. I say, oh, look at that thing. That's a disaster. And then it gets like a couple of miles away from Earth, and all of a sudden the engines start going on, the things start, and then I see it coming in and landing, and I'm watching it and say, oh, it's gonna crash. Oh, but those engines came out and they blew the fire all over the place. And all of a sudden those two big arms came and hugged it like you would hug your little baby. And that sucker landed it. Nobody's been able to do that but him. And he's a great guy. And we have him and Vivek and some great people working on a thing called costs. And he's got the credibility to do it too.
Vivek is literally out. Vivek is out at Doge, from what I understand.
But he went out to Pennsylvania after that. He landed that rocket nobody had ever seen. By the way, China can't do it. Russia can't do it or come close. It'll be 10 years before they can do it. And the U.S. can't do it except for him. And it's pretty amazing. But he did that. And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote-counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon. And his son's name, who's cute as a button, his son's name is X. He's the only guy who could get away with the name X.
Yeah, Vivek
but
is out.
His son is a great guy. One thing we know, his son is smart. If you believe in the racehorse theory, he's got a nice, smart son. Thank you very much to Elon and everybody. We've had so much help.
Talking about his semen, dog. If you believe in the racehorse theory, his father is smart, his son, his semen is strong.
Take the oath of office. Oh, you're going to have a lot of fun watching television tomorrow. Period of weeks.
Unexpected eugenics? How is it unexpected, dog? Come on. You're watching the Fourth Reich. Eugenics is the most expected part of this conversation.
You know that old story. Let's do it later. That it never gets.
It's like saying, oh, an unexpected amount of neo-Nazi propaganda that's coming out of the Jumbotron there. Talking about how brown people are scary and dangerous.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion mandates. All across the government and private sector in return our country to the merit system. You know, the Supreme Court ruled that the United States is allowed to go by the merit system, which is what made us great in the first place. That was a big ruling that a lot of people don't even know about, but it was a big, tremendous ruling. And you're focusing on character, competence, and qualifications in all hiring decisions. Now you're allowed to go by competence and ability and genius. You don't have to hire somebody to send up one of his rocket ships that doesn't know anything about what's happening. As a first step toward restoring transparency and accountability to government, we will also reverse the overclassification of government documents, and in the coming days, we are going to make public remaining records relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other topics of great public interest. It's all going to be released, Uncle Sam. And I will direct our military to begin construction of the great Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will all be made in the USA. And we will get wokeness the hell out of our military immediately and make it like it used to be. Take a look at this.
You little scumbag! I got your name. I got your ass. You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers.
Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride.
So you're a killer, sir? Yes, sir. Let me see your war face, sir. You got a war face? Ah, that's a war face. Now let me see your war face. Ah, bullshit. You didn't convince me. Let me see your.
Okay, this is why you can't. I'm convinced now. You can't make an anti-war movie. It's impossible.
You will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death, praying for war. But until that day, you are pukes. You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human fucking being. You are nothing but unorganized.
Yeah, hey guys. I wonder what happens in this movie, like, which is not real, it's a movie, but I wonder what happens in the movie.
The brown stain on the mattress.
You want to know something really funny about this? Soldiers Doing Drag is literally a classic, okay? Like, getting upset at soldiers doing drag is so funny because soldiers, there's never been a time period in history where a unit has not done drag, okay? Here, let me show you a time period. Let me show you a time period when our military was at its best. GIs as dolls. World War II, ladies and gentlemen. The last time that the American military was actually engaging in truly anti-fascist action. And here they are, doing drag. That's what's so funny about this is like, the idea that like, oh man, like, oh, look at our gay ass military now. It's like, okay, dude, sure.
To restore the spirit of American armed forces, I have appointed Pete Hegseth as our next Secretary of Defense. Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Pete's here someplace. Where is he?
Why were they
Good
doing
job,
it, fun,
Pete.
etc.? Yeah, for fun.
They like you.
Drag, and you know, doing this kind of like dress up shit is so normal, and it's so like the last 4 years of the Republican Party making this like a big issue that Donald Trump himself entertained drag when Rudy Giuliani was in drag and Donald Trump walked up to him and like smelled his boobies and whatnot. Like, there's a video of that out there from the 2000s. It's not a thing. This is not like a real issue. He motorboated Rudy Giuliani. Yeah. Vetbot Gaming is right. The military is the most homoerotic organization in America, sometimes in a bad way.
She will do an incredible job, and she's working with another person who's going to be unbelievable at the FBI, Kash Patel.
You know, you're really beautiful.
And tomorrow, everybody in this very large arena will be very happy with my decision on the J6 hostages.
It's new shit. This whole like anti-drag meta is 100% a new invention for the Republican Party. Okay, you didn't have to play this video. No, I will always play that video.
They're up here someplace in one of those beautiful boxes, and their team is doing very well, and Ovechkin is a great player, right? But I want to thank Ted and all of the owners for allowing this to take place. It was really great, and thank you. It's a hell of an operation, great place, fantastic arena. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everybody. At Homeland Security, we will have a tough leader in Christy Noem, and we will have an outstanding Duffy, Congressman Sean Duffy. Great people. Interior, you know,
My God,
one of the best
Burgamaniacs,
governors
rise up.
in the country is in
We're still
charge
alive.
of
The dream is
Department
not
of the
dead.
Interior.
Burgamaniacs, rise
and
up.
the hottest man
Dakota,
anywhere
rise
in
up.
the world for
One
energy.
united Dakota,
When I
rise
announced
up.
him, people couldn't believe it. You didn't hear
Under
of
the
him, but
watchful
if you're in the
gaze of
energy
the bird.
business, he's considered the absolute best. Mr. Chris Wright of the Energy Department. He's going to head up the Energy Department. He's the hottest guy, and there is anybody in the energy business. They said, I can't believe you got Chris Wright. And a man named Marco Rubio is going to be our great future Secretary of State. And Howard Lutnick, a tremendous success on Wall Street, is going to be our Secretary of Commerce. They have to go through these drills, but they're going to. And I want to thank the Republican senators. They've been doing great. And John Thune has been doing a great job in moving the process along quickly. We're going to have a lot of them hopefully approved very quickly. And a very special woman, Linda McMahon, is going to be our future Secretary of Education, which we're going to be giving back to the states. Let the state run education. I said to Linda, Linda, I'm making you the Secretary of Education, but if you do a great job, you will put yourself out of a job because you're going to be sending it back to the states. And she's fantastic. And her staff, which has been largely hired, is fantastic. And all of the other leaders will come to me and they're going to say, do you remember I used to do this for fun? But it's really not fun, it's fact. Because we have to do some of best of, right? But they're going to come and say to me, sir, we're winning too much, sir. We can't take it anymore. We have to stop winning, sir. We can't do it. We're not used to winning in our country. And each one of them is going to say, every single one, sir, please, please, you're destroying our country. We're winning too much. Our country isn't prepared for this. They're not used to winning, sir. And I'll say, no, Linda and everybody, we're not going to stop winning. The people of our country want us to keep on winning, and we're going to go win like never, ever before. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to be doing it, Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is having a heart attack down here. Look at him. Uncle Sam is going wild. And they think I pay for these people. I have no idea who he is. All I know is he does. And there's Abe Lincoln. Thank you, honest Abe. I have no idea. I swear, I have no idea who the hell he is. But he looks like Abe. He's probably a little bit shorter, in all fairness. Abe was 6'6". He's a little bit shorter. He's about a foot shorter. Other than that, he's perfect. Thank you, Abe. Most talented cabinet ever assembled, and we're hearing things like that. We will be supported in our mission by countless wonderful American patriots. First, let me thank my incredible family, and I want to thank in particular somebody that headed up the Republican Party, along with Mike, the two of them, Lara Trump, who you saw before, who produced those two beautiful children. Lara Trump is unbelievable. She was the chairman of the Republican Party. And nobody ever said, oh, gee, it's a family member. They actually said, how the hell did you get her to do it? She did a phenomenal job. We had a minimum of cheating. We watched them like a hawk. Where is Lara? Where the hell is she? Because she did some job. See, she wants to be nice and quiet. She's here someplace. Thank you, Lara. Thank you very much, hon. Didn't they do a beautiful job? The son and the daughter. How many young kids know that one? They don't know that one. But her husband is somebody I'm very proud of. He's doing a great job. He's been subpoenaed more than any human being in history, I believe. Every day he'd get a subpoena from Congress on something, all bullshit. But he'd get a subpoena. He's got a PhD in subpoenas. But he did a fantastic job. And Don, you know all about Don, how he did. He's great. He's very popular, too. He knows a lot about guns, I want to tell you that. We had, by the way, I have to tell you, we had great support from every gun group, including the NRA, which really worked hard. And Ivanka and Jared are here, and Tiffany and Michael are here, and Barron and my 10 incredible grandchildren, and another one coming through Tiffany. And of course, I want to thank our next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, wherever he may be. There's a lot of people. Wherever the hell he is, he's here someplace. It's a lot of people. It's a little tough when you say, where is he? You know, you got a lot of people in here. But J.D. Vance has been extraordinary. And he's got an unbelievable wife, the Second Lady of the United States, Usha Vance. So, Usha, thank you very much. Beautiful couple, great people. We're also pleased to be joined tonight by Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster. Hulkster. One thing, it's not hard to find him. All he has to do is stand up and you say, there he is. But he's great. And Kid Rock, wow. Kid Rock is a friend of mine.
Wow. Kid Rock.
He's a long, long time. He did that thing on Budweiser. Budweiser will never be the same when he did the gun with the MAGA hat.
This is the president,
That was
dude.
the commercial
What are
that
we
everybody
doing?
saw.
Kid Diddler
Also with
Rock.
us tonight is a great actor, tremendously talented guy, John Voight, who's great, and a friend of mine. And Sylvester Stallone is here, great guy. And you know, I got Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and John Voight to become ambassadors to Hollywood, California, to put it back on track. So they're all ambassadors. You have to refer to them as ambassador, Mr. Ambassador. And a man who's got an army of young people, Charlie Kirk, is here. And I want to thank Charlie. Charlie is fantastic. I mean, this guy, don't believe the stuff when you hear the kids are liberal. They're not liberal. Maybe they used to be, but they're not anymore. You got to see how many people are for us. And I want to thank Megyn Kelly. She's been terrific. She's been really great. And Billy Ray Cyrus. And Lee Greenwood, wow, has he been trumpeted. What a song and what a man. And you know, by the way, these microphones, you see the microphones? I said, what the hell are those microphones doing standing behind me? You're going to have a little special treat at the end of this speech. I don't want to tell you because you'll rush me off the stage. Get off the stage. You'll have a little special treat. And I won't tell you, but let's put it this way. It's the people that 30 years ago had a hot song, never hit #1, hit #5. But 30 years later, it hit #1 week after week. And they're here to sing. They're here to sing. For you. And you won't recognize them. They're slightly larger than they used to be, but that's the way life goes. We can all tell you, that's the way life goes. There's nothing we can do about that. Sebastian Gorka, stand up, Sebastian. I see Sebastian there. There's a patriot. He's been with me through thick and thin, right, Sebastian? Now he's with the administration. Thank you. Great guy.
Another Nazi, by the way.
And again, I want to thank Elon for what he did in Pennsylvania. He worked
Not
so
that it matters. Not that it matters, obviously, because, you know, as long as they're pro-Israel, it's fine. But, like...
A man who
literally had to be pushed aside the first time around because he was wearing a Vitesse Rand pin to the Trump inauguration last time around, who quite literally, and Mel Gibson too, obviously, but like wearing a Vitesse Rand pin to the Trump inauguration is so insane, so diabolical, because they actively hunted Jews in Hungary. Okay? Like he was wearing his granddaddy's pin. Nazi, are you stupid? Yes, I am not stupid. I think if you're wearing the pin of a unit that collaborated with the Nazi with the Nazi government, with the Nazi forces to hunt down Jews, yeah, I think it's normal to call that person a Nazi. Who can I call a Nazi then? What the hell?
Name them. No. Do you want me to name governors, senators, and Congress people? No. I thought you were going to say that. Sorry, governors. No, but we appreciate all of the
people at this point are like, you know who was the only Nazi? Adolf Hitler. No one else.
And our Senate Republicans have been unbelievable, and the governors are unbelievable. The job they're doing.
Only Adolf Hitler was a Nazi.
Of the crime-ridden cities,
and even then he was misunderstood.
25, every single one of them is run by a Democrat. Does that tell you something?
Yeah, only Adolf Hitler was a Nazi, and actually he was a socialist.
Cities. Tonight, I also want to send our love to everyone affected by the terrible wildfires raging in California. We're praying for you all. We love you all. We're going to be there very soon. I'm going to go out there on Friday to see it and to get it moving back. We're going to get some of the best builders in the world, and we'll get it moving back. And I also want to pay my respects to the great people of North Carolina. You know, I won it every single time, and they've been treated very badly. FEMA almost didn't know it existed, and we're going to get North Carolina rocking and rolling, okay? We're going to get them rocking and rolling. They've been treated very badly as a state. Together, we will rebuild Los Angeles better, more beautiful, never before. We're going to get it going. We have the best builders in the world. It's the only people that could do it. Nobody else knows what the hell they're doing. And in 2028, the Los Angeles Olympics will be one of the great sporting events and patriotic celebrations in history. I was with Gianni, the head of the Olympics, and because of the wildfires, they're going to do a special job. They're going to really do something very special on the Olympics. And the opposite, some people said, oh, maybe the Olympics can't go there. It turned out just the opposite. They came to see me the other day, and the committee, and it's just the opposite. So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, you know, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup, too. And, you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election, and now we won. So I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, and everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time. We have another thing happening. 250 years, a celebration like no other. 250 years, and that's going to be taking place next year. So we have a lot of big events coming. And everything we do everything. We take it very, very seriously. But what do we do more than anything else? We put America. And it all starts tomorrow when I raise my hand on the Bible to be sworn as we'll be sworn in tomorrow. We're all sworn in together. That's the way I look at it. It's not me, it's you. Greatest of all time. So we will be sworn in tomorrow. I'll be representing you as your 47th President of the United States. And just in conclusion, together, we're going to cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices, getting them back down, raise your wages, and bring thousands of factories back to the USA, right where they belong, and that'll be done through tariffs and smart policy. We will build American, we will buy American, and we will hire American. I will end the war in Ukraine, I will stop the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent World War III from happening, and you have no idea how close we are. We will crush violent crime in our cities and give our police the support, protection, resources, and respect they so dearly deserve. We will strengthen and modernize our military again. We did it. We rebuilt our entire military. And then they gave billions and billions of dollars of it to, you remember, to the Taliban. They gave it to the Taliban. They gave our military equipment, a big chunk of it, to the enemy. Do you know that we pay billions of dollars a year? Do you know this? Does anyone know this? To Afghanistan? Do you know that? And I say, if we're going to pay billions of dollars a year, tell them we're not going to give them the money unless they give back our military equipment that these poor, stupid people allowed for them to have. So we'll give them a couple of bucks. We want the military equipment back. We will rebuild our once great cities, including our capital in Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. And we want to make this city again safe. We don't want people coming to Washington and getting mugged, shot, killed. We're going to stop it. Law enforcement, and they have very good police here, but they have to be allowed to do their job. We're going to stop it. We're going to beautify it. We're going to make it the most beautiful capital in the world. We will teach our children to love our country, to honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. We will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. And always remember, this is so easy, this will be done tomorrow. We will keep men out of women's sports. It's over. I will defend religious liberty.
We're so cooked.
I will restore free speech. I will defend the right to keep and bear arms. We're going to defend that. After years of building up foreign nations, defending foreign borders, and protecting foreign lands, we are finally going to build up our country, defend our borders, and protect our citizens. We will stop illegal immigration once and for all. We will not be invaded. We will not be occupied. We will not be overrun. We will not be conquered. We will be a free and proud nation once again, and that will take place tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Everyone in our country will prosper. Every family will thrive. And every day will be filled with opportunity and hope, and also filled with a thing called the American dream that you don't hear much about anymore. For the past 9 years, you and I fought side by side against the most sinister and corrupt forces on earth. And in our magnificent victory on November 5th, you showed them once and for all that this nation does not belong to them. This nation
Can we please move on?
Belongs to...
Can we please move on? This is nothing new. It's depressing, scary, and giving a speech a large platform. You're right. I'm giving the next president of the United States of America a large platform. You know, Asmongold is also watching this speech, and he has 20,000 more people watching the speech with him. You know what I mean? Just get ready for the new reality in the United States of America. Okay? Every single social media platform is going to be right-wing. So if you're still holding on to this, like, idiotic, if you're still holding on to this, like, idiotic old hat liberal, I'm uncomfy right now for hearing Donald Trump's statements, just get used to it. You know, you're going to see a lot more of it. And not only are you going to see a lot more of it, it is going to harm you. You know, you can't just like close your eyes to the growing fascist movement in this country.
American astronauts.
And hope it goes away, because it's not going to go away.
It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country. And 75 days ago on November 5th, it was hardworking patriots like you who saved our country. You saved our country. Now, after we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history, with your help, we will restore America's promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we all love so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down, and we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender. We will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again.
Asmongold's always been a larger content creator than me, so it's not even remotely shocking.
Strong again. We will make
So I think it's just a broader trend that's also a broader trend that we're seeing all across the country in every single social media platform, is that if you are center right or right wing, or at least like more open-minded to right-wing values and present yourself as that, you will see tremendous success. If you consider this to be a new phenomenon, well, you haven't really been paying attention. Yep, here it is. We'll make America strong again. We're saying cooked in this chat. They're saying based in Asmon's chat, listening to this speech, the vibe is very different. Yeah, I mean, it's also a moment of celebration for a lot of right-wingers, you know? So let them celebrate for the time being. This happened last time around as well. When Donald Trump won the first time around, right-wingers danced all around town, got super excited, super stoked. And I think it took a couple years, but, you know, people very clearly unmute it. Man, shut the fuck up. I'm making an important point right now. Oh my God, I'm shutting off chat. Yikes. Okay. One thing that a lot of people will very quickly realize, or maybe given enough time, they will inevitably realize, is that Donald Trump comes into power. He says he's going to start deporting all the migrants or whatever, and that is going to somehow lead to genuine material improvements for people's lives. But when rent stays the same or gets more expensive, when egg prices go up, right? When all of that happens, even after, you know, all of these deportations start taking place, people are going to recognize, they're going to be forced to recognize the reality that maybe all of this stuff that Trump promised wasn't a reality at all. Some of which will double down. These people, you know, always have a tendency to double down. It's a cult-like desire. But for many others, they're going to look for a reason. Slowly but surely, they'll fall out of favor. They'll fall out of interest with politics in general. The biggest issue here is that there is no competent counterbalance, no competent counterweight to drive people in the direction of who's causing the actual harm. That is the reason why I'm so critical of the Democratic Party and regularly shit on the Democratic Party. And the current duopoly that we have in the American government, it's supposed to be the Democratic Party that actively pushes back against this, that tries to create some kind of defense against the Republicans actively undermining marginalized communities, painting them as the villains because they're an easy target to paint.
Damn, this guy's good.